Well, everybody, in the dying days of 2025, we have indeed caught up finally with silly old Berserk. Yes, it's still running. Yes, its author is fucking dead. What can you do about it? But we've got a team of people to follow it up. Actually, I think that's what our first PowerPoint slide is about. God, I'm a genius how I set this shit up. But indeed, I actually don't know what I did for this, as it says here. So we may as well. First of all, appreciate that I put an image on the first thingy. That's pretty cool. Now we can move on. I did reread more than just the chapters I was missing. So as of current recording date, which is the December 27th or some shit, and I'm pretty sure there's no chapter coming out this month or anything like that. I would have heard about it on Twitter, I swear. There are 383 Berserk chapters out. I reread from 365, which is the first chapter that Miura did nothing for, I understand, besides supposedly story, which we'll get into in a second with these great images we've got in our little panel here. So I didn't just... And I feel like I'd seen up until Rakshas. I'm starting to get self-conscious. I think I've always said Raxus for the Apostle Boy that shows up in the Kushan military meeting thingy. I think I'd seen the chapter where he appeared at the end, and I think that was the last one I read. As you know, Berserk's release schedule, even post-Miura death, is very winding and annoying. We'll get like 3 or 4 chapters a year, so it's very easy to forget where you were, forget what's happened, so I thought rereading the whole thing from when he stopped, which is basically when Griffith shows up on Elf Island, was productive. In the end, I think it was like 6 chapters maybe that I hadn't read, but getting them in full context was definitely much better, so I appreciated this. I did all of this today, so this is all rather fresh in my mind. Is that true? Did I read like 2 of them last night? What is time, if not a linear plane in which we all drift upon? Oh my god, I sound like Skull Knight. This is crazy. First of all, I think the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about this group of chapters or whatever, which is the Berserk continuation, because I think I just forget that we had like 2 years where this wasn't a thing and then it came back out of nowhere. In my head, Miura died like last year in the middle of it or something. So that's crazy because the last 5 years have been an absolute blur. So the thing you want to discuss is whether or not you believe in the continuation, or what's been said about the continuation, whether or not you think it's better, or, well, I don't think anybody thinks it's better, but whether or not you think it's like dramatically worse, or if you can even tell. I think it would be really interesting to do an experiment where you don't tell somebody. Well, I'm sure you could find a complete Berserk virgin that would have no idea that its author died, but even if somebody did, not telling them the exact point where it did, and seeing what they came up with would be funny. I honestly don't think a blind person would notice at all. The biggest issue, I think, is maybe rushing through things, which doesn't really come off. But in some sense of the word, I do think we probably would have got a few more chapters in a peaceful Kushan. It's weird that they are the Kushan people, but also the country is called Kushan, I think. Not Kusha or something. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually said that out loud, and that's why it's a little weird to me. Or it's just been a long time. And stuff like that. But even then, you're just guessing, and it does flow. It doesn't feel like we're rushing through things like, I don't know what a good example of rushing through things is. But whatever that example is, it's not like that. And I actually think, and the reason why I put these 2 images in here is because these are the first little grouping, for like 65. Oh, you know what I learned? I learned you can do this. Oh, look at this. I learned a few things about PowerPoint today that I'm ready to show off in, I think, my next panel, but my next slide, rather, but not this one. But I figured out how you can do the laser thing, so I can say, I'm talking about this thing and this thing. Isn't that cool? But then it goes away after you click off. I'm pretty sure because I'm recording in OBS, you can also see this shit down here, and I think you can see the mouse, so what's even the point of that? Anyway, I think because of this comic here, I'm like more confident in because basically it's like, how are you going, like, Muri or whatever, who is currently the lead, though I don't think he does any of the drawing. I don't know what exactly the makeup is. But Mura had like a studio of like apprentices he was basically teaching up to do like other manga. Like they were Studio Gaga is the name, and they were producing other manga. and the thing that people said, I don't know if any of this is true, but the things people said on like YouTube videos and shit like that was like, oh, this is to train them up to get used to his like art style, so he could. The idea was so Berserk could come out more frequently. So they, I think, closer to his art style, and that's why the art style is very similar. We do have two slides on art that we'll get to in a second, though. The criticism has always been, like, the guy always says, like, yeah, I can do this because Miura, like, told me everything. And it's like, there's no way he literally told you how each page is going to be laid out and, like, all the little in-between moments between characters and stuff like that. And that is, like, my favorite thing about Berserk very clearly. Like, I don't give a fuck about Berserk's overall plot. Like, it barely has an overall plot. But it's all about, like, the characters and especially the character interaction. That's, like, my favorite thing about Berserk. So is a fan fiction version of ISIRDO memeing around with Puck really going to be as good as it originally... Like, that? This is not Miura. He cannot do all these tiny little details. I will say, for the chapters that I have read in this section, none of that seems to be off. I don't get the vibe that any of that is off. So this is and maybe an unfounded fear. Or maybe just, like, the original author is not that important, etc., etc. And that's just something we blindly put faith in, etc., etc. But anyway, this thing over here is basically... I guess I can just read it. That's why I put it in here. I'm getting distracted by everything. The first group of chapters here, like the chapters 365 to, like, 371 or something, have been collected into a volume. So these are at the end of the volume, which is nice. It's always nicer to read the volume versions just because there's not the ugly looking, like, magazine art at the beginning of each chapter with the weird preview. There's, like, it's like, it feels more proper and stuff like that. But at the end of the volume, they have both these ones. I guess we'll go in order. We'll read the afterword first, where it's a message from Mori here, Koji Mori, who is, like, an established mangaka in his own right. I'm kind of interested to read his other stuff. He has, like, a big martial arts, like, seinen manga, I think. Maybe we'll read that one too. I forgot what it's called. It might literally be called Heaven, I think. I'm not sure. Thank you very much for picking up Berserk Volume 42. From here on out, it will be Berserk without Miura. Naturally, it's going to be imperfect. I'm sure there are those of you who will find that hard to accept. I myself feel that same way. As a manga artist and a fan, no one is more of a Miura fundamentalist or admirer than I am. But as one who was closest to him, and as a good friend, I can't simply neglect the story he was trying to complete. I ask that you please pardon me for that, which is cute. You know, all these manga authors are always annoyingly humble, and they always cock out to their animes, but that's all right. All the editors and everybody on the Gaga staff, I just talked about that, Lamau, are working as hard as they can to live up to Berserk Miura's legacy. Each volume that's published from here will be the embodiment of that sentiment. All of you who love Berserk, may your thoughts always be with them. And I'd love it if you'd be willing to give us your support until the very end. Aww. With sincere thanks to everybody involved with the Berserk and everybody who loves it, Koji Mori. Now, that one's like whatever. But this one that comes right after it is, lastly, that here's something I'm frequently asked. How did he convey the particulars about the dialogue to you? I'll reveal that secret now. And it's like Miura, like, acting out a scene for him as they're, like, drinking together, and then him doing it back for his manga. Like, it's literally like, did you do that? Says Guts, you know? And then Shirake says, Guts, hurry up. And I can, like, believe this. And even, because I don't think he would lie, right? And then on the side it says, for the most part, our planning sessions were held in the form of skits. So it's basically them acting it out. And this is like, okay, I buy this. I can buy even the shitty little ISIRDO character interactions that were acted out like this. It says, ever since we were teenagers at the bottom here. So this, like, instilled me with confidence that nothing else could. And it's very cute that it's in, like, a manga format. So I feel much more optimistic about the whole continuation after both reading these chapters and reading this little pickup thing. And I'm assuming most people watching this are probably keeping up with Berserk every month or whenever it comes out, and probably have never seen this because they haven't gone back to read the volumes or whatever. I don't know, I really like the inclusion of this. It fills me with, like, confidence. It could be completely made up, but I don't fucking know. And it's like, oh, it feels like And obviously it's recollection and stuff like that. Just quit talking me out of it here. But I think it's really cute, and I buy it. I buy it. But anyway, so the continuation where I'm happy with. The art stuff. There are some weird art things. But Miura did some weird art things too, so you can't really tell what the difference is. In an alternative timeline where he didn't die, maybe Berserk looks exactly like this. But we have some censored Casca nipples, but people's bodies look a little weird, especially when they're naked. When they're clothed, it's usually fine. But like Casca really looks like a doll here, and obviously Casca was like a doll thematically for a long time, and in that dreamscape thing she was a doll. But I don't think that's what they're going for, because Griffith looks like this too. It's especially with like the anatomy and stuff, and the like real ripped abs, and also the side abs that kind of make them look like skinny people. They look weird. Griffith, when he's naked on Elf Island, looks really weird too. So the naked bodies look a little weird. That's an art thing that I have a problem with. And then there's also monster silhouettes. Now, at some point, the Kushan capital is invaded by trolls. Weird, different-looking trolls. And there's a bunch of panels where they're trying to do silhouette stuff. And, like, this one, it looks really cool, right? It also looks like a One Piece stuff that I've seen recently, out of context, so that's cute. But then there's, like, wide shots, and it's, like, not the monsters, but it's, like, the Kushan citizens running away. There's a few shots like this, and, like, these blobs, and I'm like, this kind of looks weird and cheap. This looks cool and artistic. So it's, like, a question of, is this just, like, a cheap move, or is this an artistic move? Because there's, like, a few more panels like this one, too. I'm hoping you can see the mouse. Like, this one is good. This one looks kind of cheap. Now, this is in the bottom of a panel in the corner, but still, I feel like if Miura drew this, the silhouettes wouldn't look this weird and stuff like that. Here, I can see it. Also, Miura's never really done, like, the clash of art styles directly, where it's, like, wacky, abstract sort of representations on the backs of, like, real-looking stuff, which is obviously the dudes in the background here. So that's a bit of a clash, I think. I feel like when the troll showed up last time, we weren't doing this. But Miura has done some of my favorite abstract imagery ever. The bubbles. I love the bubbles. And all of Casca's Dreamscape, and all of the back end of all three characters and the end of the Golden Age arc, and all the stuff in between that's really cool. So it's not the abstractness that gets to me, but I like how it looks in these panels. It feels a little different, which I guess is kind of, again, going back to we have different authors basically now. It's always going to be like a hyper-specific thing you focus on. But whatever. Oh, this is also the cool thing I found out with Excel. We're supposed to be celebrating right now. I can do the appearance things. I'm always jealous when a lead already does this. So now I can do it. I figured it out. It was like 3 clicks. But I did it again. Look. There's going to be more things on the screen after this. But now we have positive art stuff. The art is generally pretty great. Most of the double-page spreads look like Berserk quality. Like this one of Zod, Griffith, and Casca returning to Falconia. True, this double-page spread is really cool looking. The lighting of these guys is really weird and cool, and obviously Zod coming back. And Falconia always looks so like demonically elegant. It's like very clean and white and larger than anything should be, and it's creepy in that sense too. It's cool. There was this cool Farnese panel where she was worried about Guts, and Guts was like overlapped on her eyes, and this was when Farnese was taking control. We got a whole fucking slide about that, baby. That was pretty cool. And then there's this cool Raxus framing, which is very Berserk, where it feels like a... What does it feel like? It feels like a great, like, diorama shot or something. That's, like, probably an actual shot, but I mean, like, it looks like a diorama. A shot of a diorama, not a diorama shot, which I'm assuming is like a circling shot, because I think you can do that on iPhones or some shit. But it's like you look at Raxus here, there's like the white lighting and he pops, and then you can sort of see him framed by the foreground of the Bakiraka and the Kushan soldier here, and then you look up and it's like your eye tracker. Remember Super Eye Patch Wolf made a video about how Dragon Ball was the only manga to ever do this? And the elephant's trunk goes up and there's like motion to it and there's guys getting thrown up. This is fucking sick. But it's mostly, that's all secondary. It's just, Raxus looks really cool here and really like, it like pops, bro. So that was really cool. I like that. Now we're going to get into character stuff. The art is pretty good. Character stuff is interesting. First we have Guts, who, most of the character stuff I'm going to say is very positive in this video. The Guts stuff is kind of the exception. In these chapters, and since Casca got taken away, Guts is in crisis. But most of his like internal monologue isn't focused on the fact that Casca is gone. It's focused on the fact that he couldn't cut down Griffith, which is like really, really, really weird to me. There's a scene towards when Guts first gets to Elf Island. I think it's before they even meet Dan. That's like an anime noun. It is Danan. No, it's like Danan, right? Not Dan. Maybe she's like serving drinks undercover or whatever. But whatever, he's talking to like the old dude, and the old dude brings up Griffith, and Guts like allows himself to like compliment Griffith almost. Like very calmly at a table, and he doesn't get mad. And that's like one of my favorite moments in Berserk. It's like, it shows like character growth. He's like very much on his journey to save Casca now. Griffith is out of his mind. Him and Griffith saw each other as they were leaving Vitanis. He didn't do anything. Now, he was kind of incapacitated at the time, but he could have like clutched the side of the boat and said, Griffith, and got up or whatever the fuck. But he's with his boys and his ladies. He had just gotten his ladies back, let's not forget. And he was going to get his real lady back. Oh my goodness, I'm going to cry. Basically, I thought Guts was over Griffith. And for Casca to get taken away, Casca getting taken away kind of had to happen. I always, when I predicted what was going to happen in Berserk, I always like really wanted Guts to be the one that got kidnapped, and then like we would stay with Casca for like a long time. Like all of this would be with Casca, not with Guts. And like he would have to fight in that fucking arena or whatever. I had the best ideas. Apparently Mura, not as good as me. But basically that was just me fanficking so we could spend a lot of time with Casca. Since we hadn't for so long. And Casca's my favorite character, you know the drill. Why did I bring that up? Oh, Casca getting kidnapped was almost necessary for the plot because it needed to bring Guts and Griffith into conflict again, and that was sort of the only way to do it. But it seems like Guts probably would have just gone after Griffith again, even if Casca had gotten back. Maybe not. Maybe then he would like fall in love with domestic life on Elfhelm, and he would have lived happily ever after. In fact, I think that probably would have been what happened. But like, I didn't expect it to be like altruistic and Guts has fully forgiven Griffith, but like it showed that he was able to talk about Griffith positively. And the fact that he's constantly not really thinking about how Casca got taken, but the fact that he couldn't kill Griffith, and he has like these thoughts about how like he fought all those monsters and he got so much stronger, but still like his sword just phased through Griffith. He can't touch him, just like he couldn't touch him at the very beginning of the manga before the Golden Age flashback when he was with the Count and everything. It's like, who gives a fuck about that? Like, if you're upset, be upset that Casca's taken, which he obviously is. It's just not what like the narrative is focusing on. Now, maybe this is an attempt to get us back. Like, we have been on the Casca side of this journey so long, where Guts' primary motivation has been Casca. It's like, remember the Griffith stuff, guys? You know, we're going to build up to a fight between them now, and we want that to have the biggest emotionality possible. I don't know. It's weird. It comes off as weird. And I think a lot of it depends on the resolution. Because there's basically two character things that were starting to happen at the beginning of these chapters that I'm like, these are like my least favorite things in stories. It's the main character moping around, which Guts is doing a lot here. Because he's also lost his will to fight and his will to live and stuff like that. And it's like, just pick the fucking sword up and go and get her back. We all know that's what's going to happen. I guess it is less... like, I just know Guts is going to go and win. Like, you're not being clever, Berserk, trying to trick me here. I'm like 100% certain Berserk has a happy ending. The only way it could not have a happy ending if Guts dies killing Griffith. Though I did have a thought about that while reading these chapters, and about the fate stuff. Because there is a lot of talk in Berserk about how, like, we're fated to die to this stuff. And obviously, like, the message is like, oh, you should fight against fate. But it can still have that message without Guts winning. So I was thinking about that a little bit. But let's say I'm 99% sure Berserk is going to have a happy ending. With Guts killing Griffith or whatever. Oh, so like this like tangent into Guts is really depressed now, guys. Like, him being really depressed in the cave where he figures out that he has to look after Casca was like really interesting, and I like that. Like, I would have much preferred if there was a similar thing to this. Now, that being said, we do end off with Guts basically being trapped in a room, and he has to have a lot of visions and self-reflection, which seems like it's going to be a lot like that scene I just described. So again, a lot of this could be outdone, Maybe, like, his revelation in there is going to be like, who cares if you can't kill Griffith? We'll figure out a way. Shurike will help. We just got to go get Casca back or something. But I don't know. Oh, originally I was saying there were two things at the beginning of this that were, like, two characters were going through two things that I always hate. And it was Guts moping around, like, main characters moping around when you know they're just going to come through it is always boring and annoying and feels like you're wasting time. And they're, like, so dramatic and they're giving up in a way you would never believe somebody would give up that way. It's like, Guts has been a lot. But it's, and I think I have this in my notes here that I'm neglecting, is that this would make a lot of sense, and I would absolutely buy this if Griffith had shown up and, like, killed Casca, and then Guts was like, I have nothing to live for. Like, I would 1,000,000,000%, like, buy that. I would be with that. I would be with him. We should just kill ourselves. It's over. Now, obviously, you'd have to be pulled out. He can find another lady. Farnese is very happy. Casca's dead. And, you know, he can march on, and he has friends and stuff like that. You shouldn't kill yourself, guys, even in that position. But, like, it's not like all hope is lost. Just go and get her. Like, Shurike knows, or is about to know, exactly where she is. And, of course, she's going to figure it out. And it's like, what are we doing here? Anyway, the original point was that two characters were going into little thingies that I didn't like. And one was Guts moping around, and the other one was a ISIRDO, like annoyingly doubting Guts, just because Guts was having this moment. Guts hasn't, like, basically this is all build up to saying I really loved the direction a ISIRDO went in, even though it teased like it was going in a direction I didn't like, but Guts kind of fell into it. So I'm a bit iffy on this Guts trajectory. But it has allowed Guts to be in the background, which is good, because Berserk has a big cast of characters, all of which I love nearly as much as Guts, some of which I love more than Guts, with Farnese and Casca. So giving them some focus for now is great. And he seems to be coming out of it soon, and we'll see how all that wraps up, basically. Let me make sure I've said everything I wanted to say by reading these great notes. Is it good? Is it interesting? We kind of talked about that. His sword not working seems to be more like the big emotional deal because he wasn't about this, so we talked about this. I guess I thought he was more over Griffith than he actually was. He thinks all the fighting he did was pointless because he hasn't honed his skills enough to be able to strike Griffith. That's why Tenkasu's on. We talked about this. I think this would be better if Griffith had shown up and killed Casca. True. Then this would make a lot more sense. There's some Griffith parallels. It's clearly supposed to be a parallel to Griffith in the basement of the tower, or the dungeon in the tower before Guts and the Band of the Hawk come and rescue him before the eclipse, which obviously resulted in a big rebirth and a burst of a burst of ambition and motivation for Griffith. So that's obviously going to happen for Guts. I wonder what that transformation looks like. I guess he needs a power-up, which seems crazy because it really doesn't seem like he needs a power-up. Like, in my head, he could probably fight Femto now with the Berserker armor, right? It's just that, like, he has this phasing through problem. It's like, whatever. Like, what are you going to do if you could just phase, if the guys just can't be touched? Well, we'll find a silly extra power, I guess. Whatever. That's fine. Anyway, there's a lot of parallels going on here. Like, when Raxus shows up in this panel I've got over here, Guts says, my angel of death, which I'm pretty sure is, like, what Griffith calls the God Hand when he first sees them, or something like that. There's something, or that's, like, when they're in the tower and Judo is telling the story, they call, like, the four angels of death descended, and it's supposed to be the God Hand. Now, obviously, Raxus isn't actually a God Hand member and stuff like that. But also to free Guts of the suffering of living, so he's an angel of death, etc., etc. But also, Guts is in a dungeon. It's dark. He can't see. And also, the place he's gone to be confined in now is also dark. And it's, like, got a history to it for a culture, but rather than the Midland culture, it's the Kushan culture. So there's lots of parallels going on here. He has let go of hope in the deep darkness he despairs. That was one of the editor's notes, I think, parallels to Griffith. True. What's going on with Guts and his potential visions? It should be interesting, but I have no idea what it could be. That is true. I've thought, like, what is he going to see? Like, I guess it could just be, like, another, like, Casca's my life. I got to go save her thing. But then it would literally just be the Godo's hut scene, and I feel like it has to be something different. Maybe it'll literally be a training thing where he has to, like, dissociate from himself to be able to hit Griffith or something like that. That would probably be the most boring option. There's also another aspect where it could be another flashback, like we kind of did with Chich. That would seem weird. The Chich flashback is always already a little weird in the retconny sense of like, do we really need Guts to have another fairy he met before? Like, that doesn't really fit in my head. I really love the Hitch stuff as a story, though. That stuff's really good. And we love the great Hitch. I mean, I keep saying Hitch. That's an Attack on Titan character. We mean Chich. We do love Hitch from Attack on Titan, too. She was sexy. Now... Oh, and the other one is it could just be a never give up speech, right? Like, he has to figure it out. I don't know, him having visions of, like, Godo and Gambino and maybe even, like, Shizu talking to him or something, and Casca. That could all be cute and neat. Guts' existential monologues are, like, the best stuff in Berserk. Well, everything's, like, the best stuff in Berserk, if you listen to me. But that shit's great. Like, the one he has, as... I think we flash back to it while, like, they're escaping, like, post-Wild or something. But the one where he's holding the sword and all the characters he's met so far are behind him, and he's sitting on the waterfall where him and Erika or whatever would train and stuff like that. That shit's great. And then obviously the Godo's Hut one. That shit's great. The I can't believe I found companions again monologue after the Slan stuff. That shit's great. So we're ready for it. If it's good like that, that'll be good. Also another thing is that Miura always was fucking writing poetry or whatever whenever shit happened. And they have continued doing that. Like, there's, like, phrases and stuff where you're like, what the fuck does this mean? Where it's like, he pierced the white death of life. And I'm like, well, what the fuck does this shit mean? And so that's cute. I like that. Berserker's, like, smart and stuff. Anyway, let's move on to some of the greatest characters of all time, shall we? SILAT. We love the great SILAT, and he's getting a lot of focus nowadays. SILAT turning down Griffith is one of the old-timer Berserk moments. SILAT is an S-tier character, of course. Oh, and this is another great little character nuance. It's like epic and so Berserk, and that felt really great. It's this panel over here, where finally SILAT catches Raxus and kills him, and, like, because they're both from the Bakiraka, like, Raxus, as he's dying, like, or saying, well done, young master, and, like, being slightly proud of him and shit like that, that's fucking sick. That's awesome. It's like Raxus is not a boring villain who's just going to go around and kill people because he's evil. He's got, like, a personality. He's got a history. He's got things he wants. Even in defeat, he's not completely sorrowful. He's a little bit of pride in there. He has character relationships with a bunch of things. When he wakes up and he doesn't know where he is, that's so fucking cool. Oh, yeah, that's on my very next note. Raxus didn't know where he was. He even said he died against Ricket. That's true. Like, obviously I remembered that he came back here, but before that, like, Ricket, like, hoses him with a flamethrower or something while they're in Midland. And I couldn't remember if we were supposed to think he died there. I think we were. So this is, like, covering for that. And he comes out and he's trying to figure out where the fuck he is. And he was in some guy. And I don't know how conscious he was that he was in some guy. And that guy was, like, talking shit about the Bakiraka. And I don't know how much of that was, like, him being controlled. It seems like it wasn't at all. And then he just bursts out of him. And all this shit is great. All these Berserk is great because of the nuanced characters. My goodness. How did I never get to make that video? Like Irvine and Sonya, there's one shot of Irvine and he's just being cool and he doesn't want to bow to Griffith and it's so fucking cool. And then we got boring ass Grumbelt and Locust next to him being boring as fuck and you're like, fuck these retards. I can't wait till Guts kills them. And the great Irvine is there. He's a cool guy. Oh, they're all so great. Every Berserk character is great. Except Locust and Grunbeld, they fucking suck. Anyway, Locust at least looks cool. Fuck Grunbeld and his dumb crystal dragon. He ain't the Band of the Hawk. What the fuck's he talking about? Anyway. Oh, SILAT then has a moment where he, like, picks Guts up and is like, why are you gonna let him die? And he uses his name and stuff like that. And I'm like, SILAT, calm down there, fella. You're not like his best bro. So it felt like an oddly awkward moment. And I don't think that was supposed to be the intent, but go off, King. Oh, and at some point here at the beginning, SILAT is, like, asking the new Emperor. The new Emperor is another cool guy who's, like, oddly nuanced and stuff. Oh, it's so cool. Remember, there's a moment where ISIRDO pipes up and says, what the fuck are you doing with my man Guts? And because Roderick's been warned not to say anything because, like, you're not allowed, not even the Emperor's allowed to shit-talk these monks or whatever. And, like, you're like, oh, no, this Emperor's finally going to... Because the Emperor's, like, a fat guy and he looks ugly and it's like, this guy's definitely going to be evil. But he's repeatedly, like, not evil and it's cute. And at one point, ISIRDO, like, interrupts their sacred ceremony. I'm like, oh, here's the moment where he's going to say, kill this little boy, I'm an evil fat man. And instead he's like, what's going on here? Somebody kicked that fucking kid out or something? And it's like, oh, it's so cute and, like, not generically boring and fucking awesome. So that Berserk's the best. What can we say? But before that, SILAT's, like, trying to ask if he can lead the armies. And before the attack, it seemed like, well, obviously we're not going to, because they all find out that he's a Baki Raka, which means he's an assassin, which means we don't trust this guy, get him the fuck out of here. But then afterwards, he's like saved the day and he killed the invading monster and stuff like that. So it seems like that's probably a direction we're going to go in. But then at the end, he follows Guts and Daiba rather than staying in the city where he could politic, which was weird. If that was the direction we were heading. So maybe he won't do that because he ends up with Guts and stuff. But I could also see him still, in the end, leading the armies. Like, it makes sense. There's no other character to do it. Like, the Emperor dude isn't going to do it, and he's the only other noble character we know, because all the ones we were even slightly introduced to in that council scene all got killed. But I'm truing right now, so that's the fucking best. He killed this guy. He was going crazy. Remember when he told Griffith to fuck off? That was pretty epic. Oh, we're doing a thing where I have to press things to make them pop up. So I was like, what? Did I not do this slide? ISIRDO and AZAN. Chapter 379 is the best post-Mura chapter. This shit was great. I was like, because a lot of the chapters I read were like Elfhelm ones where Elfhelm's just getting destroyed, and I'm like, I already read this, so I was like lazing through. But then we got to the new stuff, and I was like, this is like epic, great Berserk stuff, and I'm like, that and the little comic we went over at the very beginning, I was like, I'm fully in on this fucking continuation. I'm going to read every Berserk chapter that comes out, and I'm going to be fucking excited. Now, it is going to suck, because reading 12 pages at a time does suck. But anyway, I got to enjoy this with chapters afterwards. This was so fucking cool. This little... Because there's like a moment when the boat is being taken over where AZAN is like drunk in the corner with two no-names. And he's like... He has a great comedy line where he's like, oh, whatever was happening, boys, God was watching us. Because we were slacking off and his judgment was swift and whatever. But he used a bunch of flowery words or whatever. And it was fucking hilarious. And it's like... And then I had the thought. And I was like... Man, I'm sure YouTubers complain that AZAN was like this cool guy and he was like this cool warrior, but now he's just a background guy. He never does anything. He's like drunk and nobody even knows he's around. And Guts probably doesn't even remember him. And it's like, man, I really wish he could do something cool. And then I fought that thought up. I'm like, that's a dumb YouTuber thought. Keep that in the back of your head. He's just a funny guy now. Get over it. And then he had a great moment where he showed up and he saved ISIRDO, and he was like, ISIRDO, let us go off and do our solo thingies. And ISIRDO has a cool name for him where he calls him Uncle Mustache. And he's like, don't call me that, I'm a brave warrior or something something. And then they're also in like the narrow confines of an alleyway. And AZAN's like claim to fame back in the day was like he was on a bridge and he fought off 20 million guys or whatever the fuck. So it was like him in his element with his fucking thing, and he was going to kill all these trolls. It was fucking epic. And ISIRDO, there's also a reveal. Oh, let's do the thing. Oh my god, there's another page here. I bet you didn't know that, you fucking idiots. There's a whole thing here where ISIRDO packed a bag and AZAN like realizes immediately, oh, young man, you were going to run off on your own. What a silly thing. I'll go with you or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, I want a fucking 70 chapter arc of these two idiots in the fucking woods together, killing an apostle or something. This is going to be the greatest thing of all time. Also, fucking Puck is here, on guard with ISIRDO over here. It's the coolest fucking 3 pages in this whole thing. It was great. They killed a few trolls before Farnese saved the day. We're not to Farnese yet. Everybody calm down. I loved all this shit. It was like a unique character interaction. We haven't seen too much of ISIRDO and AZAN. It's like a great pairing of like you can pair any fucking two characters. Fucking Isper is fucking dead. She evaporated when all the magical people went. I love her so much. When's she coming back? ISIRDO loves her too. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful marriage. But anyway, you can pair Shirake and AZAN, send them off into the woods for 50 chapters. It'll be the greatest fucking manga you've ever read. Farnese and fucking ISIRDO in the woods. Tell me it's not the greatest manga you've ever read. Puck and Ovella go off and spy on people again. That was the greatest chapter in Berserk fucking history. This is the greatest cast of all time. One Piece can suck my fucking dick. Anyway, it was so cool. What can I say? I didn't think we would get little moments like this anymore. I thought we were going to rush through prop beats so Guts can cut off Griffith's head like I'm supposed to give a fuck. I give a fuck about AZAN, ISIRDO, and Puck's adventures in the woods. We're not actually going to get it. But we are separating them. Though 3 of them did go to follow Guts to the thingy. So I think they are going to get split up for a little while. Classic One Piece fashion. We're like Farnese and Serpico, I think. Serpico didn't go with him, right? Serpico and ISIRDO were together on the boat. I think that's what I'm thinking of. But they and Shirake are all going to be in Kushan with whatever the fuck, and these guys are going to be over here. It's going to be fucking epic. We're going to have 2 little groups of character introductions. All the cool-ass fighting dudes are together, of course. ISIRDO, AZAN, and Guts, the 3 strongest guys in Berserk. They're all gonna fight somebody. It's gonna be epic. And SILAT, let's not forget about SILAT. And his cool dudes. Another great example of Berserk's little nuances. The cool big dudes from the Bucky Rocker are cool. Like, they're not boring brutes. They're not, like, whenever they have to do something, they have a funny look on their face, like they don't really want to do it. Every little piece of dialogue I remember them having around SILAT were, like, them questioning him or being like, I mean, I guess we'll go and try and fucking fight Guts if you really want us to, you stupid fuck. And they all, like, jump down and they're, like, funny guys. And they've always got weird looks when something funny happens. Like, they're looking at each other. Like, they've got interpersonal dynamics, even though they all look the exact same. The greatest manga of all time, what can I say? Fucking Chainsaw Man. Suck my dick. Anyway. ISIRDO and AZAN stuff. True, ISIRDO was going to leave. Initially, I thought I was going to hate his pouting. True, this is what I talked about, where ISIRDO, it seemed like he was going to have a little pouting arc where he was being a little pussy. But no, he's taking charge, he's doing things, and he's standing up for Guts. If Guts won't stand up for himself, it's pretty cool. ISIRDO is the greatest character of all time. What can I say? But can you believe people shit-talk the great ISIRDO? Unbelievable. But he moved out of it real quick. True, Puck standing with ISIRDO is the real shit too. Look at these two. Look at Dropey and fucking Chestnut Puck over here. I haven't seen enough Chestnut Puck. That's one big criticism of this fucking continuation. I'll tell you what up. And ISIRDO saying shut up all the time, like he's Bugs Bunny. It's pretty funny. Oh, and there was a great joke on the page before this where he's like, where I think Puck says, they're trolls. They look different, but their ode's the same. And first of all, it's a great moment that they have a little moment where, like, they recognize that it's controls and we see character reactions to it. We love character reactions. And ISIRDO has this great joke where he's like, trolls? Downtown? Because they're in the middle of the city? This is a funny fucking joke. What can I say? What are trolls doing downtown? Good point. Anyway, ISIRDO is the greatest, AZAN's the greatest. But we're moving on to the great Farnese, the actual greatest. Great Farnese character moments. True. Her stepping up to the situation, single-handedly saving the city from the trolls, is an awesome action panel. And we'll get to the next one, because I'm going to make it appear, if you can believe it or not. But SILAT has this great speech where he's like, Daiba, channel me into... Daiba, another great nuanced character. You can never tell with this guy whether or not he's a good guy or a bad guy. Anyway, we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about Farnese. SILAT gives this 3-page fucking speech to all the Kushan. The Kushan's citizens are all freaking out, but he says, we are citizens of war. We know what to do. Pick up your swords and fuck up these trolls. They ain't going to do shit. And it's like, oh my god, this great speech. And the climax of the speech is him saying, draw your swords. And we cut to Farnese, who's standing in a courtyard, and she stands the fuck up. She's got her sword drawn, and she summons these giant beams of light or whatever the fuck to cleanse the city. And like, this is the greatest Farnese of all time. Who needs Shurike? Shurike fucking sucks. We love Shurike. Anyway, Farnese, it's just such a cool panel. It's so epic. She's like standing forward. There was something that teased this too. Because before this, I was like, there's going to be a big Farnese, like, stand-up moment, especially when Shurike's, like, out of control. Yeah, we got to shut up Shurike and Guts for a little while. We do too much with them too often. We need to focus on the side characters. Shurike's passed out, and she's going to look for Casca. Anyway, Farnese has had this big role of, like, she wanted to do something useful, and she slowly, like, she was healing people on the boat. It's like, well, healing people, you know, that's useful, but it's kind of fucking boring. But here she is summoning light beams or something and fucking up trolls. It was sick. And she was the climax of his big speech. She's on a court. Look at this panel of her in a courtyard by herself stepping in. Oh, it was the sickest thing. And then we got another moment where Roderick compliments her and she blushes. And it's the cutest thing ever because she loves compliments because she's been a fuck up her whole life. And also because they're in love. Anyway, in my fan fiction, they would have had sex on Elfhelm. What can I say? But you know, we're slowly. They'll kiss at the end of the manga, I guess. When are we going to get another great sex? Oh, they could do it too. Farnese's first sex scene would be equal to Guts and Casca's. Oh, it would be so great. And Charlotte, God, Berserk's not getting out of this with this fucking kiss nonsense. We got to see the sex scene. It's got to be an insane character revelation. We've done it twice with Charlotte and Griffith and with Guts and Casca. And frankly, we've been out of it for 20 years. So get the fuck back in the ring. Her blushing at Roderick after he points out that no one has thanked her yet and that she should be proud. They're in love. True, it was so cute. Roderick is like totally their leader. He's like ordering people to pack up the ship. He's ordering people to do exactly what needs to be done. He's like standing up. He's sitting at the table. This guy's going to fucking run Falconia at the end of the series. Oh, it's going to be great. We love the great Roderick. Remember the subversion when Roderick is first introduced where you're like, who is this? Magnifico is a prick. So you're like, who is his fucking fuckboy, rich, noble, royalty friend that's going to marry my girl Farnese? And he's like smiling all the time. You're like, this guy is definitely a serial rapist or something. And he just was the nicest guy of all time. Oh, what can I say? This is the greatest manga of all time. Farnese got some excellent character moments. Farnese, ISIRDO, SILAT, AZAN, what more do you need? Fuck Griffith. Anyway, miscellaneous notes. We got 4 little points to talk about before we talk about, before we end the video. We've talked about everything, right? The Kushans got invaded by trolls or something. We fought them off. It was cool. And now Daiba is, like, pretending he's gonna, like, kill Guts or something, and he got approval, and all the Kushans blamed Guts for the invasion or something when it wasn't actually him, and they marched him off to a thingy. You've read the chapters, I think. Miscellaneous notes. Eastern Exile chapter, not arc. True. I think Fantasia is supposed to be over at the end of the Elfhelm Island. And now it said at the beginning of one of these, on one of those ugly art pieces they do for the magazines, there was a thing that said, like, Eastern Exile chapter. Now, we usually do chapters like the Lost Children chapter in the Conviction arc, or the Elfhelm chapter of the Fantasia arc. But I don't think we know what the Eastern Exile chapter is from it for an arc. I don't think we know, like, the arc name, right? Or maybe the Eastern Exile is the arc, and, like, we're fucking up the uses of the word because of translations or something. I don't understand, but we're in the East, right? And we're going to be here for, like, 10 more chapters or something. Then we're probably going to go on a journey or something, and then we'll be at Falconia. Didn't Mira say before he died he was 75% done or some shit? So, can't be that far off. Oh, there's a Mandela effect thing going on where I swear Casca's brand was upside down and more on her boob. This is just, like, true to me, and, like, I started looking up images, and apparently I'm a big fat liar. But I swear to God, maybe this happens in, like, the 97 anime or something, but Casca gets branded, and it's upside down, and it's way closer to her nipple than, like, on her, like, almost shoulder, which is how it's portrayed in all the images I looked up after this. Maybe this was in, like, the anime, and I've been cucked by shitty motion. Because I know, like, Caucasus was on, like, his forehead. And Judo, like, because he's Judo, he got his hand up to try and block it, so it went on his hand. Or is that Pippin? I think Pippin's was on, like, his cheek or something. I can't remember. But they all got him in different places, and I swear Casca's was upside down. I guess it makes no sense for it to be upside down, but I just always thought that was cool. That it was, like, upside down on her boob. I thought about getting that tattoo sometimes. But apparently it was fake. So that's crazy. But whatever. Did anybody else have this Mandela effect, or am I just going crazy? What are we doing with Mortar? Mortar has always been interesting. I was certain that she was going to be on Griffith's side. I was assuming Griffith was going to show up in Elfhelm. Like, maybe Mortar would help him through the barrier because she had been tricked a little bit. But she was also in love with Griffith. She, like, hated, like, all the elders telling her what to do. She could be, like, she was, like, a rival to Shurikei a little bit. She is continually getting focus. So something has to happen with her. I really don't know her direction now, though. I don't know if she's just going to have a cool moment where she's really powerful and she's going to be a good ally to us or something. Like, whenever I think of Berserk, I'm like, who's she going to get paired with? So we got, like, our love triangle with Isma, Shurikei, and ISIRDO. She's, like, apparently she's 16, which is crazy because look at the way she's drawn. My goodness. We don't really have any 16-year-old characters for her to be getting with. Like, the only single guy around is Serpico, and that guy's abstinent. So I have no idea what her role is. Like, she's not marrying anyone. She's, I don't know. There's another young guy there. Is it Mule? Is that his name? The guy that's always with Sonya? But I feel like they're going to get together, right? So we got no other young bachelors for Mortar to get with. But she's, like, always so curious, and she's, like, bashful and stuff like that. Bashful's not the right word, but she's, like, boisterous. Did I just say that? She's, like, cool. So we'll have to see. I really don't know. Sound off in the comments what you think. What are we doing with Casca? Of course. She cut a guy's arm off. That's true. When she, like, was starting to remember things, the guards were coming to get her, she, like, cut a dude's arm off. And I'm like, that guard probably didn't do nothing. That's kind of sad. But also, you know, fuck Falconia, we're going to kill them all. We're going to flood it or something with all our mages and drown all the civilians. No, the great Luca is in there somewhere. We got to save her. When are we going to see Luca again? Speaking of Berserk's greatest and most nuanced characters, remember when the prostitutes were the most morally virtuous characters in the whole manga? Now that was epic. Whew. Casca, what do we do? Are we going to get chapters with her, or are we just going to have another long, prolonged period? Like, I really want her and Griffith to have a scene. Not a scene, if you know what I'm saying. But like, that could have mean two things. I meant like, I don't want to have him rape her again. But then it's like a sex scene could have been what I was implying. Like she was gonna betray Guts or something, because I know that's like a big thing in the fandom. I didn't mean any of those things. A scene where she could like confront him would be like incredible. It's almost like too good to be true. But Berserk has done too good to be true scenes. Like the Hill of Swords exists, and that was way too good to be true when it was happening, and blows your fucking mind in 17 different places. Berserk's the greatest manga of all time. Wouldn't it just be so interesting? What the fuck would Griffith say? And wouldn't it be so interesting if he did try to justify it as like, well, I had to impregnate you because I knew I was going to come back later and I needed a vessel for it, and and obviously it was a very personal thing with Guts, but like having Griffith talk like honestly or dismissively about Casca, and it's like maybe saying that like you were always an annoying like tool, and like you were never Guts, like I didn't care about you or whatever. Like that could be really interesting. What a scene that could be. There's also a bad version where the scene is just like her like screaming at you and saying how dare you or whatever, and then like him looking at her with like no expression, like with the Ricket thing, and like walking away or something. I just hope we get more scenes of Casca. But now we did we did get a whole chapter of her, but it was sort of her not understanding what was going on, and like her playing with kids in the flower garden and stuff, which was really cute. Casca being very maternal is a cute bit of characterization that I do like a lot. But yeah, even if she like, wouldn't it be so cool if she had like an Anna, where she's like, now her handmaid did seem really fucking annoying when they were like, oh, am I gonna dress you up today? And they're like buying into the Griffith Kool-Aid or whatever. My girl Anna would never. Oh, another edition of Berserk's the greatest because of its great characters. Who could forget about the great Anna? That's Princess Charlotte's attendant. She's really cool and funny and cute, and she's got some characterization, and she's the best. She's better than your manga's best character. Now, yeah, just a new character that she just talked to sometimes, or anything like that, or if Mule is his name, I'm forgetting, or Sonia's friend, or even if Sonia came to talk to her or something, or if fucking Irvine and her started talking, anything would be great. And also I just want more Casca. And I do want us to move through the like she doesn't entirely understand stuff. Like I feel like we probably should have been done with that when her brain was healed or whatever. It makes sense for her to have a PTSD attack when like she sees Guts or even Band of the Hawk stuff. But I don't want her falling into this like amnesia thing every time. I feel like we have to be through that. And also it would be interesting if she had like a thing Guts was going through where he has to be in this fucking chamber to figure out that he's got to go get her. Like her having to consciously work through her trauma and some sort of like abstract dream sequence or something like that would be really cool too. Anyway, anything you do with Casca would be great. So let's do something, huh? I'm talking to you, Kentaro Miura. We know you're still running things. The death was fake or something. Anyway, that's all I really have. I'm very optimistic about this moving forward. I'm excited. I don't know why I ended with the Casca thing, because now I really want to see a Casca chapter, and it's not going to happen. And now I feel like there's going to be a slight little bit of disappointment when we show up next time, and it's another fucking Guts dream sequence. Get over yourself, Guts. We got better characters. Now, no, it should be good. So I'm very excited. I have no idea if we're planning on doing a chapter before March. We'll see. We can only hope. It does suck that Berserk things will be a crawl, and I feel like I'm locked in now for at least probably like a year or two, or I'm probably going to be following it very closely, which means you might just get chapter reviews every once in a while when the chapters come out. Will we get a leader to catch up? I doubt it. He's going to say, I don't know anything about Berserk, or something like that. Anyway, it's about time we end this fucking video, huh? So we'll see you back. Well, actually, I'll chill this before we leave. I'm going to do the version of this video for Heavenly Delusion tomorrow, I think. I don't think I have... It's probably like 4 or 5 chapters for that one. And I haven't reread anything, so I don't know where I'm going to start rereading for. So if you're a fan of Heavenly Delusion, look forward to that. And coming towards the end of the year, we're going to do all of our recap and stuff like that. Then going into the new year, we're going to be reading a lot of more exciting manga. Have you seen my recent One Piece videos? We're going to be doing that for some other things, like Hunter x Hunter, probably. So get excited for that. And also, me and Elite Ari are starting Naruto soon. Stick around for that. That's going to be very exciting. And I'm going to be making a Denji video on the main channel, apparently. Anyway, that's all my shilling done. So stick around. There's going to be manga content, especially in the new year. Every time we start the new year, of course, we have a new lease on life, and we're going to consume everything we've ever wanted to consume. But we'll see. Anyway, support links in the description below. Thanks.